Hi, Bob Nagy here with Elite Video. Today we're going to talk about the Canon 40D, the newest and greatest in the digital SLR line from Canon. And it has the incredible Digic 3 processor, the live view where you can look through the screen. It's got the super big new LCD on the back. It has an automatic sensor cleaning system. It really keeps that sensor clean. So let's take a little look around the camera body at all little features and functions of the 40D. Well, here's the back of the 40D, and let's go around and take a look at the mode dial up here first, where you got all of your shooting modes, including 3 new custom modes which the user can preset. That's totally new on this camera. Here's your external flash connector and your flash itself, internal flash, which pops up and allows you to use the internal flash on the camera. Now, on the back of the camera, we've got this incredibly great-looking new LCD. It's super big, super bright, really viewable outdoors, and it just looks tremendous. In fact, the whole camera body is a little bit bigger to accommodate this new LCD screen. Now, they've moved the control buttons from the left, because it's so large, along the bottom over here. So they're all the same buttons as you had on previous models, plus a new one over here for custom presets where you can adjust user pre-styles and ones that are default in the camera, standard, portrait, landscape, plus you can make your own in there and assign them to those 3 little controls on the top, so the C1, 2, 3. That's a new feature over there. Now, on the back of the camera, we see also that we have the control dial, main rotary control dial over here with a set button that allows you to move things around and then select them, plus a little jog wheel. So between the both of them, you really get a lot of control. On the top right over here, we've got the autofocus on, turning the electronic exposure measurement on inside the camera computer, and the focus point selector over here. Now, what would you use, say, this little mouse controller for over here? Well, moving around menus is one of the things, but also, if you're using these in playback, you can zoom in with the button here and zoom back. When you zoom in, then you can take your little wheel and move it around, and you see you've got your little control pointer moves you right around the picture like that really quick. That Digic 3 processor is making everything happen really quick inside of the camera. So also, when we press the shutter up top, it'll go into shooting mode immediately, and we can see that we've got a really informative LCD screen up here with all the information of what the settings are as you're taking the picture. There's 1000 ASA and everything else here. The settings for the exposure. Right above this, we're going to see that we have these 3 buttons. Actually 4. You can turn the light on behind the viewer, the LCD screen. But these 3 buttons are quick access buttons, and they also have dual function. So when you press them and you're ready to adjust one of the 2 functions of the button, the rotary dial here controls one of the functions, and the big rotary dial on the back controls the other function. So when you have your hand on the grip, your finger's on this wheel, your thumb can be on this wheel, and you can have access to both of these control functions. Really ergometric design on Canon's part. On the front here, right in front of the control dial, is the all-important shutter button. Again, pressing it halfway down to lock the focus and then following through. Let's go to the front of the camera over here. Here's your CF card door. As we go around to the front of the camera, we'll see that there is an unmarked button on the bottom over here. This is our depth of field preview. When we press that, the camera irises down and allows us to see the places which are in focus from foreground to background. We're going to be able to demo that in a second. Now, these control buttons on the lens are specific to the type of lens that you get. We have an image stabilizer lens in this case. Here's our flash control, and this allows you to raise the internal flash. And here is our all-important I/O to the outside world, where our connectors are for putting our cables, which are supplied by Canon, to connect other things. We've got the video out when you want to do slideshows for showing the family all the pictures you've taken, the USB to go to your computer, our remote control, and also external flash control if you're using studio strobes. So there you go. You've got your tripod mount, battery cover on the bottom, and that's all of the control knobs on the outside of the Canon 40D.
Hi, my name is John Cooksey, and I'm one of the photographers on our Elite Video instructional videos, and I'm going to show you how you use the live view function on this camera. It's really fantastic. Let's go back to the camera and take a look. We have the menu button right here, and what you're going to do is you want to push that menu button, up pops your menu display. You're going to use your what I call the mouse button to go back and forth till you get to this particular screen here with the little wrench, the yellow one, and you're going to scroll down to using the dial till you get down to live view settings. So live view function settings, hit the set button in the middle of this dial, and ba-bam, there you are. Now you want to put it in enable, and to do that you hit the set button again. You could go between disable and enable. I'm going to put it in enable. Let's put on our grid display just for the fun of it, and we'll leave all the other functions the same. Now we're going to go back to the menu settings and we'll be ready to shoot. So once you shoot, it's still not going to pop up. By the way, it has to be a manual focus thing, so you may want to get into autofocus first. And then when you're ready to fire up, I'll just take the lens cap off now, and we could shoot part of the studio here. It's still not going to work until you hit this set button again. You'll hear a little click, and look, on the screen pops the shot. And we're not going to really play around with the shot right now, but you get the idea. You can see through the viewfinder, and the nice thing about this is when you're doing really low angle kind of shots, you don't have to hurt your back getting down to like 1 foot away from the ground to do it. You can glance back at the image. It really helps your back a lot. I'm going to scroll through some pictures and show you that these were done with the live view setting at night. This particular one right here we did on a 10-second exposure. So if you set this to shutter priority by going up to the top of your menu here and go to TV or time value, same as shutter priority, you can then dial down on your, let's do that right now. You can dial down on here to get to whatever seconds you want, in which case it was a 10-second exposure. And let me go back to that shot again. And then what we did is we did it on a tripod, and I ran around with a lantern in 10 seconds in the middle of the night, though there was a little bit of light to get that kind of shot. And these were all taken with literally no light at about 800 or 1000 ISO, just for the fun of it, because this camera allows you to easily do this. And I was just taking all sorts of different creative shots right in the middle of the night. So this camera allows you to do some great time value things. But getting back to the live view, it's fantastic to be able to do this because it'll allow you to get the camera down lower and reach back farther with your neck, and you don't have to worry about it. Just keep in mind, you're going to have to use autofocus first before going over to live view, or what I do is I put it in manual focus.
So let's take a look at another thing that the 40D has, which is called picture styles. Let's take a look at the back of the camera. Now, on the back of the camera, the bottom right button under the screen over here, if you push this, it's going to bring up the picture style screen. So Canon has a bunch of presets from the factory here that adjust these 4 things, which is sharpness, color, saturation, contrast, and color tone. And they're each assigned a numerical value. So if you go down, you see they've got different internal settings for standard shooting, portrait shooting. With a standard, the sharpness is bumped up just a little bit so you can use the image right out of the camera. Portrait has the sharpness down a little bit because skin tones you don't over accentuate. Landscape has that sharpness up. Now remember that when you get down over here to the lower ones, you've got user definition 1, 2, and 3. And you can go ahead and assign exactly how you want it to be, all those 4 parameters. So when we go ahead and go down to one of these 3 over here, remember that we have to press the info button to actually get into it. So now once we're down into it, we can use the little multi-position controller over here and go down to one of the parameters and say we said, okay, with the picture style number 1, I want to set it up for really super sharp. And if I go ahead and push that in by selecting it, you push into select over here, I can then adjust this to all the way to sharp to the right, gives you much, much more sharpness. So there you go. Each one of these is adjustable, and you can go ahead and set that. And then when you're done, you can hit the menu over here. Remember to hit set, and it will hold that as your user definition number 1. And those are so easy to access. So you may want to shoot black and white or any kind of different combinations of those 4 settings. And that's a really wonderful, powerful function on the 40. Well, if you like what you've seen here, remember we have an over 2.5-hour in-depth video on the 40D, including tech support. So check us out at elitevideo.com. Until next time, take care.